Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on the Penguin Palace Stamps YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing this fun sort of pastel colored colorful card that I made using the Stencils 360 system by Penguin Palace Stamps. And I'll show you all of the inking that I did to achieve this pattern. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm starting with the Stencils 360 base, which is just this square piece of plastic with the circular opening and all the notches around that opening. I'm placing the paper positioner into the base, which has a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 opening for paper. It's just that clear piece of plastic you see there. And I have this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of white cardstock, which I cut with the largest dots meets dashes rectangle die. And I'm just placing that right into that opening of the paper positioner using some removable tape, so just some easily removable temporary tape. And once that is placed, I can remove that paper positioner, and then I can place the guide ring into the Stencils 360 base, which fits right into that circular slot as well. And this is the 6-inch guide ring. They come in different sizes, and you just use the one that fits the stencil that you're planning to use. And I'm planning to use the Sense of Fall stencil, which is a 6-inch stencil. You want to line up the notches on your guide ring with the notches on the Stencils 360 base, which I have done with the arrow pointing to the top. I do apologize for the reflection of my light at the top there. It does make it a little bit hard to see those notches at the top, but that is not part of the Stencils 360, that's just my light. So I've just placed the stencil right into the stencil guide ring, and it fits right in. The first thing that you'll notice about the stencil is that it has 2 little notches at the top, and they're 2 circle notches. What that means is that you rotate the stencil every other circle, and you can see those circles on the edge of the Stencils 360 base as you go around. And you'll see as I rotate the stencil that I am rotating it every other circle. And once you do that and you rotate it all the way around every other circle, you will get the desired pattern that is meant to come out of the stencil. And you'll see everything kind of lines up perfectly when you do that, which is really fun when you kind of get to the end and you see how nicely everything is lining up. So you can see now that I've finished my inking on the first rotation, and I've swiveled my stencil twice, once to the first rotation, now to the second rotation, and I will continue to just swivel it every other circle until I'm done all the way around. Now I am blending on with 3 colors at first, a light blue, which is Speckled Egg Distress Oxide ink, a light pink, which is Tattered Rose, and then a light pinky brownie color, which is Tea Dye. I'm actually going to come around with a 4th color, Brushed Corduroy, onto those acorns, but I didn't do that in this first rotation, first set of rotations, I guess, because I needed to use the same, I only have 1 brown blending brush. So I used the brown blending brush for tea dye on the first rotation, and then I just rotated the stencil all the way around again, blending that brushed corduroy onto those acorns for every rotation. So you can definitely do this as well if you have you're using the same blending tools or want to do the same color on multiple rotations. You just need to go around again with the stencil and everything will still line up perfectly. So that is the final pattern that you get from that, which is just so pretty. And it doesn't have to be for fall. If you use these pastel colors, it can really be for any season. So I wanted to keep this card nice and simple and have that beautiful pattern really be the star of the card. So I took this big, bold sentiment stamp which says, "Wishing you a very happy birthday," with happy birthday being in that big, beautiful scripty font. And I just lined it up right in the middle of the card panel using my Mini Misty tool. Then I just pulled it up with the side of the Mini Misty, and I inked it up with some black versamark ink, which is just a really nice, bold black ink. And then I can just stamp that right onto the card panel. And I'm pressing down nice and hard to make sure that the impression is good, because some of those letters are quite tiny. And once I've done that and I'm happy with it, then I can just move on to the next step. And I really like how that sentiment really stands out in the middle. So I'm just taking the whole card panel and gluing it down onto a card base using some liquid glue. And I just cut out a standard sized white card base. And I'm just aligning that card front onto the card base so that it's nice and straight, and just sort of pressing down to make sure it is all properly glued and really holding it in place until it is. To finish off this card, I'm just adding a scattering of a few little gems around the panel and just sort of around the sentiment, just as a little extra touch of detail. But again, I really did want to keep the main focus of the card on that beautiful colored pattern. So I didn't add too many different details. I just kept it very simple with the simple sentiment and just a few little sort of clear cream colored gems, which I thought would just kind of blend nicely into the background, but also add a little bit of sparkle. So as I go through, I'm just lifting up each gem with my tweezers, adding a little dot of glue to the card panel, and then placing the gem down. So that is it. It's a simple card and it was super fast and easy to come together, but I love how detailed the pattern is and how it really does help the card stand out in a really beautiful way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed watching the process, and I hope that you learned a little bit about the Stencils 360 system along the way as well. If you do want to see more of my cards, head over to my Instagram account, which is linked in the description box down below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!